I'm Stephanie Shanti, and I'm going to take you through a really super simple yin practice today. And it's kind of like yin practice for when it's too hot to do anything. So, very simple, just a few postures. We're going to hold them for about 3 minutes each. I'm going to suggest you have a bolster. I've got my bolster over here. You can make a bolster out of a few pillows, as long as it's quite firm. You could also have a couple of blocks with a blanket over the top. Just to make the blocks a little bit less harsh. Might also need a couple of blankets here and there just to make things a bit more cushioned. But apart from that, that's all we need. So we're going to start off in a Sphinx pose. So you can come down onto your tummy. If you want some protection for your knees, you could always put a blanket under your knees. You can have the elbows under the shoulders, you can have the hands together. You could always kind of bring that up a little bit, maybe have a little bit of height. If you wanted a little bit higher Sphinx pose, you could put something under your elbows, your forearms. You could even go up to bolster, but this is right at the beginning. So I'm just going to go super simple. I'm just going to prop my upper back up using my arms. I'm going to sink down into them. I don't have to push up. I can just be really comfy here. I'm going to have my legs as wide as I want. I could even turn my feet out. So just find what's comfortable for you. Make sure you're nice and comfy. You could either look forward, you could look down, or sometimes it's quite nice to just place your forehead on a block. So have a little wriggle around. I'm going to set the timer. And once you've wriggled and found just the right Sphinx for you today, then I invite you just to sink down and be still. And there's nothing to do in yin. We're just going to, all we're doing is propping the bones really. I'm using my upper arms to prop my shoulders up, so I'm creating a shape between the bones. And then I'm just going to sink back down into gravity. I'm going to let my legs relax and do what they want. I'm going to let my belly relax. I'm going to let my head relax. And I'm just going to stay. And as I relax down, it's like my chest is falling down, but my elbows are still propping the tops of my arms and the upper back up. So my chest gets a chance to really drop down towards the floor. And as I said, you could do this adding on to the neck vertebrae. You could even lift the head up into the hands. If you wanted to add another little prop, propping the head back. We don't have to worry too much about stretching the neck because we're just going to prop up a little bit, so we don't have to like go to an extreme stretch and then stay there for 3 minutes. We're aiming just to find a comfortable, gentle tug on the tissues, and then we're going to stay. So it's real passive stretching, not active stretching. And then we hold, and what happens when we hold is that we're sort of forced to relax. The muscles might be kind of switching on to begin with, to try and protect us, and that might be a useful thing. If there is some protection, if we need to be protected, and if they don't relax, then you won't be able to stay for very long, and that's fine. You can come out. You can come out before I say. But if you found the sweet spot at 60%, then what should happen, what might happen, is that over time, the muscles will just let go, and you'll feel this kind of creeping through the sensations. And so it's quite nice to just tune into the breath, just watch the flow of the breath. You could do some breath practice at the beginning just to help you sink in. It's quite hard to go from the active mind to straight away into some yin poses. That stillness. So sometimes a little breath practice can help, and even if it's just watching the breath, not changing it at all, or taking some deep breaths or sighing a few times. Just seeing if you can give yourself up to gravity. Let gravity have you. take like 3 really deep breaths into the chest. Just feel the front of the chest opening. See if you can press the breath into the sides of the ribs, into the back of the ribs. Actively changing the shape of your whole torso as you breathe in and out. And on your last couple of breaths like this, see how much you can give up as you breathe out. Even tension in the shoulders and the neck, the weight that you're carrying away from the earth. And then very gently, just release yourself from this posture. Take your elbows to the sides. And just bring your forehead down on the floor. You might prefer to have the forehead on your hands. And if you want to, you can stretch out your arms and your legs and just take your head to the side. Whatever's comfy for your own body. And then I'm going to just very gently push up, so bring the hands under the shoulders, just lifting the chest up and starting to take the bottom back to the heels. And it doesn't matter how far they go, they might go to the heels, they might not. You might need some padding under your feet, under your knees, or under your bottom. You can grab a blanket and pop that anywhere. You might want a bolster under your chest. I'm going to just stretch the arms out in front of me and just let my head lower down towards the floor. And just feel that just the armpits are having a little stretch. We might be further up, away from your heels. Your whole chest and head might be on a bolster. Just coming to where feels good, just to have a little stretch into the armpits. And very gently bringing the hands back towards the knees, pushing yourself up. And we're going to just kneel for a little bit. So kneeling's not for everybody. You could make it more comfortable by maybe having something between your bottom and your heels, a blanket, or straddling the bolster, which means that you're sitting a little bit higher up. That's also great. And just sitting for a moment. Again, this is not a long hold. This is just kind of to transition us. Starting to stretch the ankles a little bit. And the structures around the knees. And just to release what we've already stretched in the chest and the armpits. Breath there, and we'll come off the heels and give the legs a little stretch out. Maybe just being still, just sinking your weight onto your hands or even your forearms if the wrists are aching. Either being still, or you can roll your ankles, you can wiggle your toes, you can relax your neck, maybe do some little pendulums forward. Half circles. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the bolster. So we're going to lift up the back of the pelvis. So although you could lie down, lift your hips up and put the bolster in, it might be easier just to start sitting on the bolster. Remember, you could have 2 blocks next to each other with a blanket over the top. This would be a little bit lower as well, so if you found a bolster too high, blanket on top just to make it a bit more comfy. So we're going to sit on the bolster. And we're going to roll back, but if I just roll back from here, I'll just kind of slide off the bolster. But I want the bolster to be lifting the back of my pelvis. So I'm going to sit right forward. I'm going to almost kind of creep, so I'm nearly at the floor. So that then, when I go back, it's the back of my pelvis, and then I can kind of adjust here. So my hip bones are directly above the bolster. I'm just going to move my stuff out of the way. So feet on the floor, and you've got the option here to stretch those arms up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to either do a half pontoon, that's like one leg at a time, so 1 foot flat on the floor, or we're going to do a double pontoon. And what I can do is, if you're going to do, sometimes this is just too much for people, so you can do a half, and I'll let you know when we're halfway through. So you can have a little wriggle around, see if this is full pontoon with both heels on the floor. They can be as wide as you like, they can be turned in, turned out. You could adjust your bolster a little bit lower, a little bit higher, just to make the sacrum comfortable. Or it just might not be tolerable, so you would want to do half pontoon, just bringing 1 foot to the floor. So choose which one you're going to do, and if you're doing the half pontoon, I'll let you know when we're going to change. And just settle in this little gentle back bend. I mean, it might not feel very gentle, and obviously if you wanted it a little bit less gentle, you would make this lift lower. So maybe a bolster's too high, a block, maybe a yoga mat rolled up could be really good. And sometimes just a folded blanket is enough. We're just trying to give a gentle tug on the tissues. And if you are stuck with the bolster and it's too much, just do half, one side at a time. And this can change, the sensation of the poses can change every day. So with Yin, you have to be really honest with yourself and just practice with your body how it is today. There's no need to go further. If we go too far, if we try and keep ourselves in this arbitrary kind of linear check, like I did it yesterday, I should be able to do exactly what I did yesterday, or even build up from that, then you risk actually damaging your tissues and kind of setting yourself back. So the beautiful thing about Yin is it keeps us really honest, and we have to learn not to care and not have these measures. We want to start to think about the sensations we're feeling. We want to feel a sensation of opening, a gentle passive stretch, not an active stretch, and no more than 60%, so that you can hold it for time. If you hold a stretch to its full capacity, you won't be able to stay for time, because instead of relaxing over time, your muscles will switch on more and more because they are in danger, they feel in danger. So that actually makes your body harder, not softer. So allowing yourself to sink into gravity, letting yourself go, letting yourself be held up, propped up by this prop. If you're doing the half side, you're going to change sides now. So if you had your left foot on the floor, you're going to stretch your left side out and put your right foot on the floor instead, or vice versa. So you feel that this prop that you've got under the hips is literally propping you up, and that everything else can just sink back towards the floor. So if you can relax your head, your neck, your arms, your shoulders, the whole of your spine. Just feel that your spine is trickling down to the floor from the hips.
See if you can relax the pelvis and the pelvic floor and the lower abdomen. And the legs heavy and the heels heavy on the floor. And just feel that with time, you can let go even more. You can surrender. And you can just take 3 lovely deep breaths. You can again see how much you can expand the whole body, especially the belly and the chest with your in-breath, and how much you can just let go completely with your out-breath. 3 lovely deep breaths like that. So that as you let your out-breath linger and become longer, maybe have a pause at the end of the out-breath. Even then you've got chance for some little creeping sensations of relaxation to happen. And then very gently you're going to come back onto your feet, and you can try and lift your bottom up, just slide the bolster down. You can always grab the prop out from under you and take it out. If you slide the bolster down, you get to relax with the bolster underneath your upper thighs. So your thighs are at this lovely angle. The thigh bones can just go down and weight the back of the pelvis there, giving this nice heavy sensation as a little counter pose. Your arms could be out, away from the body, or you might like to take this opportunity for a nurturing kind of check-in with the abdomen and the lower belly. Or if you like that kind of star shape, pentagon, you can go for that, just as a little counter pose, a little rebound. And then if it's possible just to kick that bolster down away even further, then you can bring your feet on the floor, space between your feet, and just do a little bit of windscreen wiping side to side. Just to have a little massage at the back of the pelvis, side to side. And with your feet nice and wide, you get a chance to really drop and hang on each side. If you wanted to pause on one side, you just bring the opposite heel on the outside of the knee. You could have a little stretch there on the whole of the side body. Might not be comfortable for your knee, and it's definitely not, compulsory. You might prefer just to keep moving, or you might prefer just to rest without weighting down one leg. You can always try it just for a pause. Just really feeling free to explore. So if you wanted to do a different kind of movement for this windscreen wiping, if you want to hug your knees or rock and roll, you can do. And then we'll roll onto one side and come up. And so now we're going to stretch the back of the body a little bit. I'm going to sit on a blanket just to lift my pelvis up a little bit. I'm going to have a bolster, a couple of pillows nearby. And I'm going to stretch my legs out. So if you've got quite tight hamstrings, you might put a little rolled up blanket underneath. Or if you're hypermobile, that also kind of really is quite nice because you've got something to push against without bringing your legs into hyperextension. And then what I'm going to do is bring the bolster on top and kind of push it into my belly, and then I'll rest over the top. And I can just have my legs, feet turned out to the sides, just my arms draped, or they might be on the floor, and I could here have a block on top of my bolster to make it even more comfy. You could just let the head hang. But yes, here I am in my caterpillar, just having a real gentle curve to the spine. So have a little play. Maybe you want something higher under the bum, something under the knees if you want, bolster, maybe some more support. And then resting into the pose. Just allowing those feet to relax, the arms and shoulders to relax. The head to relax. Just offering a very gentle curve to the spine. I'm quite upright, I'm not going into a big hamstring stretch. Definitely got some hamstring stretch, but I'm trying to also get a little bit of curve into my spine. So staying quite upright, and the bolster pushing into my belly just so that it allows this kind of lower back to be a little bit stretched. And I've used my props and my body to create this shape. And now with all the support that I've gathered, I can just let all the muscles go that I don't need to hold me in place. This really is yoga for when it's too hot to do anything. About 38 degrees here today. Yin is perfect practice. A hot day in Italy. seeing how much you can expand, even if it's against those props. Expanding as you breathe in, front, sides and back, and then seeing what you can let go of as you breathe out. And then very gently, I'm just going to slowly come out of that pose and just lean back a little bit, put your hands on the floor. Sink into the hammock. If you prefer, you can lie down, or you can come out onto your elbows. Just having a little moment of stillness out of the pose. Moving the props out of the way. Maybe moving your legs from side to side. And you can cross the legs comfortably and just have a little very gentle twist from one side to another. Just crossing the opposite hand on the outside of the knee. And the other hand behind me. And my gaze is on the floor, just behind me. It's hot. My thermometer says 31 degrees in here. That's inside. So let's now go and do a couple of side stretches and twists just to finish up. So we're going to start with